Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is a bit more of a less political and more of a, kind of health update because everybody needs to know what their health is and how good things are. And, perhaps it's just something that you're going to have to do, right? Health is very important. You should never be overweight. You should always be at the right size, not being anorexic because that's terrible, and what have you. It's all bad. Now, before I get into it, I have a YouTube channel, obviously, and then I have this join feature here that you guys can join and just pay $5 or what have you, and this will give you special permissions and Discord and all that, special emotes, which I am working on getting more emotes at some point in time. They're in the process. So as soon as I get those, you guys can use those in the streams that I'll be having and what forth. So join if you feel so. And without further ado, let's get directly into this. So what we have now here is popular food now behind more deaths than fentanyl. Popular bombshell report warns. Not popular because that's not what we want. Says ultra processed foods could be killing more Americans than fentanyl, according to shock study. It says researchers who analyzed death records and diet surveys estimated that 120,000 premature deaths in the U.S. could be linked to eating these types of foods in 2018. By comparison, the latest data shows fentanyl overdoses killed 73,000 Americans in 2022. Ultra processed foods packed with saturated fats, sugars, and artificial additives are believed to fuel deadly conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. The new study examined diets across 8 countries, including the US and the UK, and mapped how much the ultra processed foods people ate against mortality rates. Researchers found that 1 in 7 of nearly 1 million premature deaths in the US could be tied directly to ultra processed foods like meats, candy, ice cream, and even some seemingly healthy salads and breads. Shockingly, the study also found that ultra-processed foods now make up more than half of the calories consumed by the average American, a higher proportion than anywhere else in the world. And for every 10% for more ultra-processed food added to a person's diet, the risk of dying early jumped by 3%, the study found. Well, this is kind of obvious, right? We should all know that processed foods, God forbid, ultra-processed foods, are very, very bad for you. You should always go and get food that is not processed and get food that you just make for yourself. It's kind of funny because I just went to the store for the fam and stuff like that because you gotta feed them, and I end up getting processed food, which is tater tots. Now I can make homemade tater tots, but the things that I have to do during the day, I just do not have the time to make homemade tater tots along with the other food that I also have to make. So when I have more time, I'll most likely make homemade tater tots. But the point being is that ultra processed foods or processed foods in general are just super bad for you. So you should almost always avoid them. If you can cook your own food, which is not very hard to do, you can just go online, search a recipe, and look at it and cook, and then adapt your cooking to what you see fit. Obviously, if there's some spices or whatever that's in the food, then you don't that you can't eat or you're allergic to, just remove it and add something else that's a substitute that you can actually eat. It's really not that difficult to cook, and so many people as of today just doesn't know how to cook. So you just get these ultra processed foods that people buy, and then little do you not know is that you're slowly killing yourself because you're eating food that is just really bad for you. So this is a small PSA. Please, for the love of God, stop eating processed foods and just start cooking your own food. And maybe slow down on fast food in general because that's not good for you. And go with, maybe more restaurant food and what have you. But even then, that could be very expensive. It's just cheaper to make your own food and healthier as well. So, by all means, uh, just avoid processed foods. It goes on to say here, the ultra processed foods have long been under scrutiny for containing high levels of saturated fat, salt, sugar, and additives like emulsifiers and artificial dyes not typically found in home cooking. Well, yeah, because normally a lot of times you don't drink or eat a lot of sugar. I mean, a lot of sugar is bad for you. Salt is bad for you, and saturated fat is also bad for you. And of course, we know that a lot of companies are adding literally poison to their foods. So obviously that you probably don't want to eat these foods because, well, it's like are you going to trust a company that puts that put stuff into their food that that will make you want to keep on buying it over, or you're going to trust yourself with what the food you buy, and that is what you know what you put it, you know what's in it because you put it in there. So again, always never trust people. Always trust yourself in some cases because again, this is a good reason. As a result, the researchers associated them with 32 chronic diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and some forms of cancer. Dr. Eduardo Nilsson, lead study author from the Oswaldo Cruz Foundation in Brazil, said UPFs affect health beyond the individual impact of high content of critical nutrients, such as sodium, trans fats, and sugar. Try to get this out of the way. Because of the changes in the food during industrial processing and the use of artificial ingredients. It goes on to say here that including colorants, artificial flavors, and sweeteners, emulsifiers, and many other additives and processing aids. He noted because of this, assessing deaths from all associated with UPF consumption allows an overall estimate of the effect of industrial food processing on health. Independent researchers, however, cautioned the findings do not prove ultra-processed foods directly lead to an early death and called additional studies. The news was published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. It goes on to say that the team calculated the number of premature deaths in the U.S., UK, Colombia, Brazil, Chile, and Mexico, Australia, and Canada, or we would call Mexico, but who cares about the correct pronunciation here? Between 2017 and 2018, the U.S. recorded 900,000 premature deaths, defined as dying younger than the country's average life expectancy. In the U.S., this is 77 years old. The team then collected nutritional data from national surveys to calculate how pervasive ultra foods are in each country's diet. In the US, ultra processed foods were responsible for 54% of the average person's consumed calories. The researchers found 124,000 premature deaths in the US could be blamed on ultra processed foods. This is about 14% or 1 in 7. Meanwhile, 17,000 deaths could be linked to these foods in the UK, also totaling about 14%. Colombia, Brazil, and Chile, however, attributed ultra-processed foods to 4 to 6% of the premature deaths. The researchers suggested this could be because these foods are less common in these countries. For example, ultra-processed foods can only make up 50% of the average calories consumed in Colombia. In Brazil and Chile, these foods can account for 17 to 23% of the average resident's diet, respectively. So again, things that are going to happen is mental health, adverse sleep-related outcomes, anxiety outcomes, combining common mental disorder outcomes, depression outcomes, asthma, wheezing, cardiovascular disease morbidity, hypertension, hyperglycemia, high density protein cholesterol levels, abdominal obesity, etc., obesity, overweight, etc., etc. So you could see here that like these things are not good. Like maybe perhaps avoid these things to avoid yourself being in a casket. The researchers wrote premature deaths are attributable to consumptions of processed foods increase significantly according to their share of individuals' total energy intake. And what we also have here as well is that the 21 ultra processed foods you need to avoid and the ones that are actually healthy according to a 30-year survey. The devastating health effects of eating too much junk are well known by now, but when it comes to so-called ultra-processed food, not all types are created equal, obviously. But when it comes to so-called ultra-processed food, not all types are created equal. A landmark study published this week found there are 7 categories that are considered the most detrimental for your health. Some of them were probably not a surprise: soda, microwave meals, and brightly colored candy. Well, yeah, you should probably not be drinking a lot of sodas. I need to take this thing here. I should probably stop drinking soda. And I'm probably going to take that case now after the one more bottle I drink, because soda is really, really bad for you. Really shouldn't be drinking it. It causes me a good majority of your weight gain too, by the way. So, try to avoid that. It says a landmark published this week found there are 7 categories that are considered the most detrimental for your health. Some of them were probably not a surprise. So, yeah, you have that there. So, contain additives like calcium propionate, which keeps the foods from spoiling, but increase insulin resistance and diabetes risk. Coloring comes from dyes like yellow 5 and yellow 6, which have been linked to hyperactivity in kids, which obviously that's kind of obvious. Contains cornstarch, which has been shown to decrease blood sugar, so this is here. And then you have sweet flavored raised tomatoes and ketchup, sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, which have been linked to obesity, diabetes, and liver disease. Coca-Cola, what have you. These are the things here. And then this is filled with nitrates, which have been shown to cause certain cancers like breast and prostate cancer. So Jimmy Dean's, Italian dry salami, and deli fresh, held together with the emulsifiers, which research suggests could cause inflammation and irritation in the gut. So Reese's, chocolate, all this stuff, and then high and this Marie's calendar pot pie, what have you, right? So those are ultra processed foods. Probably if you're gonna make it's so easy to make your own ketchup, to make your own uh you know your own what was it? God, I can't even think of it. Uh wow. Barbecue sauce. There you go. To make your own barbecue sauce, it's super easy to make these. It takes like max, like maybe 5-10 minutes at most to make stuff. They make this right, and maybe not Coca Cola because it's a bit different, but you can make things similar to which is not so deadly. The reason says the study is that these even food groups have multiple more stages of processing, which adds more synthetic ingredients that have nutritional benefit and can cause harmful effects in the body. They also contain more artificial ingredients like colorings and dyes, which have been linked to conditions like hyperactivity and cancer. So, a good thing here, what we have here is obviously you see this is that we have where RFK Jr. is looking to remove all food colorings from our foods, which is great. So they're going to have to figure out another way to not poison us with food colorings. So that's good. They also contain more artificial ingredients like colorings and dyes, which have been linked to conditions like hyperactivity and cancer. Again, the latest study was 100,000 on Americans. It lasted over 30 years. We observed strong positive associations between ultra-processed food and mortality outcomes. The researchers wrote in the study published Wednesday in the British Journal of Medicine. So states like California and you have New York, New Jersey, and Missouri have tried to put these dyes on the chopping block because they contain benzodiazepine, a known carcinogen. I can't pronounce some of these weird ass names. I apologize. According to the FDA, injection of free benzodiazepine increases the risk of cancer to just under the concern threshold of one cancer in 1 million people. Yeah, so probably should avoid this stuff, right? So again, I think this is not too crazy of a surprise, but again, perhaps it's just a good idea to just avoid these foods entirely and not have to deal with it, right? Because if we don't have to eat these foods, we'll be better off.
On a day-to-day, I think
So again, stay healthy out there, guys. Know what's in your food. Know what you're buying. Try to keep your families healthy. Try to keep yourself healthy. Like the only thing you should do is like you should go for yourself. Make sure you keep yourself healthy. First, because if you're not alive, you can't keep your family healthy. So you got to keep yourself healthy and keep your family healthy, so you can live a long and fruitful life. And obviously, these ultra processed foods are bad for you, so avoid them at all costs. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.